Nagumo is thrown into the depths of the Orcus Labyrinth, a dangerous place filled with powerful monsters. He encounters a giant monster that brutally severs his arm and tries to eat him. Despite the terrifying situation, Nagumo manages to escape by using his transmutation ability to burrow deep into the ground. After escaping the bear and losing his arm, Nagumo discovers a Definity stone deep underground. The stone creates a pool of ambrosia healing fluid that constantly refills itself, which enables Nagumo to survive the loss of his arm. Flashbacks reveal that Nagumo has no real warrior skills, and that his only strength lies in his ability to transmute and manipulate matter. When Nagumo's class entered the dungeon, they encountered a behemoth, and during the fight, one of his classmates deliberately pushed him into the abyss. While trying to save Kaori, Nagumo fell into the abyss and was stranded there. As time passed, he started to break down due to intense hunger and the dangerous situation he was in. To survive, Nagumo began to hunt extremely strong wolves by setting up traps and using his transmutation ability to create weapons and tools. As Nagumo eats one of the monsters he hunted, the DNA in his cells begins to change, and he is only saved from the effects by the constant healing from the ambrosia pool. His body undergoes a transformation, becoming much stronger due to the symbiosis of his and the monster's DNA. This process involves the tearing apart of his muscles, which the ambrosia fluid helps to heal. After his transformation, Nagumo continues to hunt and eat monsters in order to raise his levels and gain their physical and magical abilities. Nagumo also uses his transmutation skill to create powerful weaponry through trial and error, eventually crafting his first pistol called Donner. He continues to hunt and eat monsters, including the bear monstrosity that ate his arm, before looking for a way deeper into the abyss. However, the king is told of Nagumo's death and, unwilling to admit to a hero's death, forbids any mention of the incident. In flashbacks, Kaori's friend reveals that the Pope summoned their high school class and their teacher to the world they are currently in, to act as heroes in humanity's war against demons and monsters. This sheds some light on the reason why they were transported to this world and the purpose of their mission. Kaori also notices that her classmate, Hiyama, is acting weird, but she does not hear him reassuring himself that no one saw him attacking Nagumo. Despite the obstacles and challenges he faces, Nagumo eventually reaches a giant stone door and defeats the Guardians, retrieving keys from their corpses. Kaori remains determined not to give up on finding Nagumo. Nagumo discovers a young girl trapped in a crystal behind closed doors, but chooses not to set her free because he assumes that she is likely a monster who has been imprisoned for a valid reason. However, the girl later confesses to Nagumo that she is actually an immortal princess who is also a vampire. The young girl maintains that her uncle, who desired to take her place, had betrayed her. Despite being unable to take her life, he imprisoned her by sealing her within the crystal. Nagumo, who has been through betrayal himself, feels sorry for the girl and may contemplate leaving her imprisoned. Nevertheless, the girl chooses to abandon her previous name and asks Nagumo to give her a name, to which he selects Yu in reference to the moon, inspired by her resplendent golden hair that evokes the moonlight. Nagumo and Yu are targeted by a colossal scorpion monster that launches an attack on them. In order to restore her magical abilities, Yu drinks Nagumo's blood, and with their combined strength, they successfully defeat the scorpion. As they eat, Nagumo reveals to Yu that all vampires were eradicated 300 years ago, leaving her as the sole survivor. In turn, Yu shares with him that the labyrinths were created by a group of powerful magic users known as Mavericks. The Mavericks, who tried and failed to conquer God, built the labyrinths as a means of protection against God's retaliation. They hope to survive by creating sanctuaries within the labyrinths, and it is possible that they still exist on the lowest floors. Using his transmutation abilities, Nagumo transforms the shell of the defeated scorpion monster into a rifle, which he named Schlagen. Later, he confides in Yu about his past and reveals that he was betrayed. But he no longer harbors any ill will towards his former classmates or seeks revenge against them. Nagumo's only goal is to amass enough power to go back to Japan, and since Yu is now homeless, he invites her to join him on his journey. Once again, Nagumo's former classmates decide to venture into the labyrinth. Meanwhile, Nagumo and Yu make their way to a floor within the labyrinth where they encounter monsters that have been infected and are under the psychic control of a plant-like creature. Yu contracts the infection, but Nagumo's consumption of one of the monsters in the past has granted him immunity, which enables him to eliminate the plant-like monster.
Ugly mug.
After several days of traversing through the labyrinth, they finally reach the final floor and prepare to confront the ultimate boss monster. Nagumo and Yu both face off against the final boss. The final boss is a massive, hydra-like monster with 6 heads, each capable of a different type of magic, and one head that has the ability to heal the others. Yu is under the trance of a terrifying hypnotic effect caused by a second head, which nearly led to her being consumed. However, Nagumo was able to bring her out of this state by sucking her out with a kiss. Nagumo was able to effectively use Schlagen to obliterate the 3 heads, which included the healing head. After this, you proceeded to eradicate the remaining 3 heads using lightning. Just as they thought the danger was over, a sudden and unexpected 7th head appeared, catching them off guard. During the attack, Nagumo was injured while protecting you, and as a result, Schleichen was destroyed, leaving them vulnerable to further attacks. Upon seeing Nagumo lying unconscious, you quickly took action and moved him to a safer location. In an attempt to defend herself and Nagumo, she tried to use his pistol to fight back, but ended up getting injured herself. Even while unconscious, Nagumo was able to hear Yu's cries and somehow gained a boost in speed, enabling him to dodge all incoming attacks. Nagumo resorted to using grenades, which he detonated all around the room, causing the roof to collapse on the 7th head. This allowed you to unleash a final blow, using her lightning to kill the head once and for all. After the intense battle, the final door finally opened, but the exhaustion from the fight proved too much for Nagumo, causing him to pass out. Meanwhile, Eiko Hadayama, Nagumo's teacher, who was also summoned as a hero, engaged in an argument with the Pope, who was insisting on them re-entering the labyrinth. After the argument, the Pope eventually agreed to only send students who volunteered to enter the labyrinth. However, there was a condition. Eiko must continue to use her fertility magic to aid the kingdom's struggling agriculture. Nagumo regained consciousness and found himself in a bed, where he learned that he had lost his right eye during the battle. He also found out that they were in the Maverick's home, with you by his side. While in the Maverick's home, they stumbled upon the skeleton of the Maverick, and a magic circle was discovered nearby. Suddenly, Nagumo's memories were forcefully examined by a spell, which activated a recording left behind by the Maverick. Known as Oscar Orcus, acknowledged Nagumo's worthiness to learn the truth about the Maverick God War, as he had successfully defeated the labyrinth. Nagumo's classmates ventured into the labyrinth and were able to conquer the behemoth that was believed to have killed Nagumo. While doing so, Oscar bestowed Nagumo with his power and memories before vanishing. After learning the truth about the Maverick God War, Nagumo had a realization that the Mavericks were actually liberators, not villains. Additionally, he discovered that he had inherited Oscar's ancient creation magic. With the power of the ancient creation magic, Nagumo was able to bestow magical properties to transmuted objects, ultimately resulting in the creation of unique and powerful artifacts. After burying Oscar, Nagumo took his ring, which allowed him to control a portal that led to the surface. He made the decision to conquer all the labyrinths, as he sought to acquire the ancient magic they contained. Over the course of 2 months, Nagumo utilized Oscar's treasure library and workshop to their fullest extent, taking the opportunity to learn as much as he could. During this time, Nagumo crafted various weapons and vehicles, and also upgraded himself by creating an advanced prosthetic arm and a magical jewel to replace his missing eye. Nagumo and Yu grew closer during this time, with Yu repeatedly seducing him. As a gesture of his affection, Nagumo gave Yu a magical ring, but he also cautioned her that his intentions could lead to them becoming adversaries of the church and their god, Ed. Despite Nagumo's warning, Yu swore to stay by his side no matter what, and together they used the portal ring to teleport to the surface. Waiting for them at the designated spot was Shia Halia, a rabbit girl who appeared to be impatient for their arrival. Upon their arrival, Nagumo and Yu tried to ignore Shia, as they found her to be quite annoying. After some reluctance, Nagumo decides to hear Shia out, and she tells him about the danger her tribe is facing from monsters. She also mentions that she has the power to predict potential futures using magic, and that she saw in a vision that Nagumo would be the one to save them. In exchange for her assistance in guiding them to a great tree that Oscar mentioned in his library, Nagumo agrees to help save Shia's tribe. Upon reaching the forest of the rabbit tribe, Nagumo takes down a number of monsters, unfortunately using Shia as bait. Seeing his strength, the rabbit tribe asks Nagumo for combat training, as they are tired of feeling helpless against their foes. Nagumo faces the challenge of helping the rabbit men overcome their innate timidness, so he subjects them to a rigorous training program where they must either kill all the monsters or face his wrath. This tough training transforms them into skilled and fearless monster hunters. Shia guides them to the Great Tree, which Nagumo discovers is actually the entrance to another labyrinth. A stone slab is found in the vicinity which contains openings for rings similar to those in Oscar's possession. Nagumo infers that in order to gain access to this particular labyrinth, he must first successfully overcome other labyrinths. After much deliberation, the men with rabbit-like features choose to carry on with their training, and take responsibility for protecting the tree until Nagumo's return. Shia, who has developed romantic feelings for Nagumo, decide to go with him, but Yu doesn't want to take her and refuses, so they enter in a duel to see if Shia is worthy or not. Yu, who was defeated by Shia in a duel where she managed to scratch Yu's face, is compelled to permit her to leave with them. So, finally Shia accompanied them as they journeyed to Razon Gorge, the location of the entrance to another labyrinth. They were welcomed by the exuberant voice of the maverick Melody Ryzen. A person constructed a labyrinth that resembled a maze and had many practical jokes, most of which were aimed at Shia. However, some of Nagumo's classmates chose to leave the labyrinth and assist Eiko with the farm work instead. After navigating through the labyrinth, Nagumo and the girls finally reached the bottom. where they had to confront the boss, Melody, who was controlling a massive robot. Having engaged in a prolonged battle, Nagumo and the girls ultimately managed to shatter Melody's crystal heart. In a final act of goodwill, Melody expended her remaining energy to convey her best wishes to Nagumo for his upcoming encounter with Noit. Although Nagumo maintained that he had no desire to defeat Noit, Melody gave Nagumo a guarantee that he would become capable of defeating gods in due time. But as they entered the treasure room, they discovered that the authentic soul of Melody was housed in a small, whimsical golem. They are in bad mood, so Shai decided to pay her back for playing prank on them. And as a prize for successfully finishing the labyrinth, she gifts Nagumo her ring and imparts her ancient gravity magic to him. She departs, causing a surprising exit for everyone from the labyrinth through a whirlpool. However, she is startled by a fish and ends up drowning. They find themselves in the open by emerging through a lake. She drowns and Nagumo has to save her, so he started giving artificial respiration. Surprisingly, after she regains consciousness, she kisses Nagumo directly, thinking, "This is one in a lifetime moment." Feeling embarrassed, Nagumo throws Shi back into the lake. And that brings the episode to an end. If you enjoyed this episode and want next one, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also turn on notification bell so you will never miss out new video. See you next time. Take care.